Blessings, everyone, and my respects to the monks in presence. It is going to be New Year's soon, and many people have decided to go traveling. Some people are prepared to do their Buddhist chanting over the New Year's. 2025 is almost complete. We're going to have to wait after this cycle of Buddhist teachings all the way until Maitreya, the next Buddha, arrives. So, lots of blessings for the new year. There's a lot of hope that happens around the new year. Some people are disappointed at the end of the year, haven't achieved their goals, and then have some hope again at the beginning of the new year. Some are discouraged. They want to have more strength to deal with the struggles of this world. Most people, that's all we do. Regular people in the world just hope that things go well and aren't such a struggle. Most people in the world just looking for nice things to see, hear, smell, taste, touch, just pleasant worldly experiences. Looking for sensual sense desire to be appeased. Most people's wishes and hopes are just, can we have pleasant sense contact? May I have pleasant sense contact? Involved in the sense desires is the only happiness they're looking for. But there's another level of happiness. There are lots of multiple levels of happiness, step by step. For us Buddhists, happiness is of no comparison to peace. That peace is a much higher, at a higher level, a higher standard than happiness is. For happiness in the world, there has to be competing against each other and battling against others to get ahead. In the world, there isn't real peace and happiness, or the true peace, the true happiness of peace available in the world. There's just competing and having to battle through difficulties to try to get places, and moving ahead of others, taking from each other. If we take a look at the history of the world, there's never really been any true lasting happiness anywhere in the world. Buddha taught us to find true happiness. It's not available in the world, in worldly things. So to achieve this type of happiness is what we have to train in, what we have to practice. I can confirm for you that it's really nonsensical type of happiness that we get in the world. It's temporary and lacking substance. It's a heated type of happiness. I can say utterly and completely from my experience, I was 48 years in the world before becoming a monk, and I had to take care of my parents. I wasn't able to ordain until I was older, and I didn't have those responsibilities anymore. I had a wife and a house and car and good job and status, all the things that people are looking for in their life, but it wasn't truly satisfying being in the world. There's just a feeling that it's you're not fulfilled, and there's always more and more hunger for more and more. And the feeling I had was, this is it. This is all the world's happiness has to offer. But I practiced meditation since I was a child, so I knew about peace and higher levels of happiness to a certain extent already. Samadhi has many steps, many levels, and then there is developing wisdom, where we can know the truth of the body, the mind, the five aggregates. And then there's another level of happiness at that point. There are different standards of happiness. The worldly happiness is just sense desire happiness, enamored by the things that we like and out in the world that we enjoy. But the Buddhist types of happiness are happy utterly within themselves, not requiring worldly things. And Nibbana is the highest happiness. The principles of how to practice to attain Nibbana are still available. Some people don't understand that Nibbana is possible, and they think we just talk about Nibbana to fool people, to make them be better people and such. But the masters say that there is no happiness comparable to Nibbana. If we hold the precepts and keep practicing, then we get closer and closer to Nibbana all the time. If we have strong enough training in morality, training in samadhi and wisdom, if we perfected great qualities, then we move closer to Nibbana, and it is actually possible. Even stream enterers at the first enlightenment, they have experienced Nibbana truly. Those that are still worldly people that have not attained streamed entry yet, they just can experience happiness of the world and of mindfulness and some insights. So we're in an era where the Buddha's teachings are still alive and well. This is a golden opportunity, very difficult indeed to have a period amongst humanity where Buddhism and these teachings are available. It doesn't last. It's not there all the time, and it's hard to understand because it's upstream. It works against the current of the way of the people in the world. So it's hard to understand. Well, it's very seldom indeed that Buddhism exists in the world amongst humanity. The universe or the galaxies are created or arise and fall many, many times, sometimes without a single Buddha or any Buddhist teachings available at all. So in the era that we're in the universe and the galaxy where we are at this particular time, it's a very rare opportunity indeed. The teachings are available. There are, in this particular universe, it is said that there are 5 Buddhas in succession, not at the same time, but only 5 in this iteration of the universe. So some people don't practice and they say, well, I'll practice with the next Buddha, right? But with the next Buddha, you're just going to learn the Four Noble Truths just again. It's going to be the same teaching. What happens is people get so enamored by the world and are looking for sense desire type of happiness that they don't practice and procrastinate, push it down the line. But we'll be suffering a very, very long time if we decide to learn from the next Buddha until we finally receive those teachings. So the teachings are available now. Why don't we just practice correctly from now? It's really true and utter happiness. So how do we follow this training? Well, to start, we hold the 5 precepts of morality, just the 5. No need for more than that. Right? We just make sure that we protect our mouth, protect our actions, our deeds from doing harmful things to others. Speaking in ways where there's lying or harsh speech or idle speech, when we speak with no point to our speaking at all. We also know cursing or speaking harshly. We all know the bad words. These days, people use bad and curse words much more than they used to in the past. You hear even nice ladies or girls, you see them, proper type people, you see them swearing, and it's become sort of normal or mainstream to do so. So let's be careful about harsh speech and such things. Even when we lack mindfulness for just a very short period, we may find that we've broken or bent a precept. People speak nonsensically, harshly, lie, and things so easily. So let's start by not allowing impurities of mind to manipulate us so much so that bad things come out of our mouth or that we act in harmful ways. So let's not be defeated or allow the impurities to defeat us in such a way. So we need some inner strength to be able to keep the precepts. So we make a strong intention to refrain from doing these immoral acts. To actually keep the precepts means that if we have the opportunity to do something bad and then we refrain from it, that's keeping the precept. Not just some elderly person who doesn't see anybody, doesn't talk to anybody. That's not keeping the precepts. They don't really have the chance to. Or you'd like to commit a crime, but you're afraid that the police are going to catch you, right? That's not really being moral, right? Being moral is understanding that when you do bad, you're creating badness for yourself, the karma, and a feeling of shame or feeling ashamed of being a bad person or doing negative acts. That's what the heart is like for those who are keeping precepts. There's another Dhamma that is very interesting called Viveka. There are 3 Vivekas: body Viveka, mind Viveka, and complete Viveka. Body Viveka means isolation in a sense that we need time for our bodies to take our bodies to places that are quiet and away from others. Right? So as lay people, how do we keep our body away from other people sometimes? How can we do it? Well, we can do it because once we've done our responsibilities and worked and prepared food and such, then we go home when we've done our responsibilities. We don't have to go out partying or trying to find exciting things out there in the world, being amongst lots of other people. We come home. Now that's only if our house is a calm and easy place to be. These days it's hard to find peaceful places for some quiet time alone. You can't go into the forest alone and things like that, like it could in the old days or in the Buddhist times. So just be in your home, have a home that is a friendly one, have a heart that is one where you have compassion for others. We need our family that is a cool, calm family that doesn't fight, communicates with each other well. Of course, there are going to be some disagreements, different opinions, and that, but try to understand amongst each other that you want a calm and comfortable home, and try to understand them. Why is it that they think this way or feel this way? My husband does, or my children think or feel this way. And then the home can be a safe zone for us. When I practiced as a lay person, I would practice at home. I wasn't on top of mountains or deep in the forest, but there wasn't any fighting at home. It was everybody understood each other, and we would have simple happiness. There would be troubles, and we would help each other to resolve the problems. When I was a lay person, I felt I had viveka for the body because I didn't really bother with other people so much. People would invite me to parties and that, and I wouldn't go. I would refuse. I would go to funerals for appropriateness, but many people are just chattering at funerals and didn't get much viveka out of that. But I would avoid spending too much time with other people, and when I would have holidays from work, I would find a temple to go and stay at. I had discipline and wouldn't involve myself in social gatherings any more than what was necessary. These days, we should take a look at our lives and see, is there a lot of social stuff that I do that really is unnecessary? Sometimes it is necessary. Like if we're doing business, we have to take care of our customers and things like that, clients. But when we're just doing social things just for excitement and frivolous reasons, then there's really no need to do that. There's no need to be involved in whatever social things that everybody else is doing. I never did. I wouldn't go when people would have marriages or inviting people to their brand new home, house party. It doesn't matter if I'm there or not. They still get married. They still have their house. So I would, after finishing work and responsibilities, come home, freshen up and have dinner. I would sometimes read a little bit of, briefly read some cartoons just to relax my mind and put it in the right temperament for practice, and then would practice. And then for viveka, or time alone or isolation of the mind, is the next thing. But the body, we have to just find opportunities to keep our own space. Like in this monastery, the monks' residences, we can't see each other from each other's residences. We have some privacy, and the monks don't socialize and chatter. They only talk a little bit to each other when they come into the meditation hall and have gatherings. The monks here follow a great discipline. In some places, they're allowed to use their phones too much and end up talking to people too much online, and things go wrong. So when we have viveka of the body, it helps us to have viveka of the mind. When considering the five aggregates, right, it starts with the coarsest things and moves to the more subtle or fine. Like the body is the coarsest, right? So that's the first one mentioned. And teachings go all the way from there, through the subtle aspects of the mind, all the way up to Nibbana, the most subtle and sublime things. So Buddha, when he would teach, it was so elegant how the teachings would move from the coarsest then to the more refined. So we have isolation or space away from others, right? First it's the body, and then it moves to the mind having its own space away from the world and others. Some people don't understand when they listen to my teachings and think, what kind of teacher doesn't teach meditation, doesn't teach us to do proper meditation? But the truth is, I teach it all the time. There are different types of meditation and different types of samadhi. We can separate samadhi into two types: being with one particular object and being calm with it, concentrated, and then the type of samadhi where the mind is the stable observer, It's the knower, it's awake, it's radiant, joyful, and ready to practice vipassana insight. When people don't understand what mindfulness really is, then when they're taught to just Buddho, 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 things like that, often they end up in practicing samadhi incorrectly and end up with their mind of the incorrect quality, of low quality. So we have to understand sati or mindfulness according to the four foundations of mindfulness. So we just keep training and understanding that there is the calmness type practice and then there is vipassana preparation practice. Those are two different types of samadhi. The key to practicing for calmness, to have the mind calm and peaceful, is we have to choose an object of meditation that we're happy to be with, that's pleasant for us. Like if when we think of the Buddha and we feel happy, then think of the Buddha often. We might Buddho as well along with it. Or if we contemplate different aspects of Dhamma and we feel happy doing, then let's do that. But that's a hard choice, a difficult choice. I use that. I contemplate Dhamma sometimes and there's calmness and the mind achieves samadhi from doing so. Thinking of the Buddha sometimes or thinking about a particular Dhamma, a particular item. One of the most subtle, beautiful, refined teachings of the Buddha that I would contemplate was Paticca Samuppada, which is dependent origination, beautiful teaching. Sometimes I would think about my master Luangpu Dun and feel happy, think of what he teaches, what he taught me, make me happy. Some people like to free animals, like going to free fish back into a lake and feel happy about that. We can think back of doing these beautiful actions of giving life. Some people donate organs or donate blood. When we reflect on such things, we feel satisfied and comfortable within ourselves, and it helps. So some people have made offerings to me, and then later when they think about all the offerings they've done for me, some people have done many times and think about that they've offered things to someone they respect or admire, then we can feel happy about our past doings. And once there is that happiness, then we can breathe in Bud, breathe out Do, contemplating the body, the breath, contemplating the body, the different portions of the body. Then the mind might feel satisfied or happy. And that's only for some people. Some people, when they separate the body into different pieces, like the components, like the hair, the skin, the nails, the teeth, and such, then they feel unhappy about it. They get scared, right? And the mind gets restless. But we want to have a stable observer mind. But when we want to be peaceful, let's start by not wanting to be peaceful. Don't start with greed, wanting to be peaceful, because then it won't work. So instead, just do it choose objects that make us feel happy and go from there. For the stable observer type of samadhi, when I took a look at the world, I saw that everybody's lost in thought, lost in looking, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, bodily experiences, lost in sensual desire. Nobody is aware of themselves. Their attention is out through the physical senses, just looking for sense desire, sensual desire. These days things are getting better because of the teachings that are out there now. And so we choose a meditation object, and if you really want to be happy and free of depending on the struggling world for your happiness, then we really have to be diligent with the practice. When we need a period of peace, and then be with the meditation object. But if we want to be if it's time to be the stable observer and have correct samadhi, then we are interested in seeing or observing the mind. So we have a meditation object, but just to gauge what happens in the mind. So the mind leaves the meditation object, goes to thought, or moves into focus, then no so. If we have the mindfulness that sees that the mind has gotten lost in thought or has come into focus, then know that that has happened. And when the knowing has happened, then the mind that got lost disappears and the mind that is knowing arises. The mind that knows is not something we can command into existence. It is something that arises out of its own causes. When mindfulness knows that we're lost, the loss disappears by itself, and the mind is not lost, it's knowing. So that's the principle. It's that simple. So I teach quite easily. Just know, in the past I would just say, just know two phenomena. Know the mind that got lost, which means it forgot about the meditation object. And then there's the other direction where the mind moves into focus on the meditation object. Just know when that happens as well. Just know those two phenomena. Then we achieve correct samadhi, the stable observer mind. I've asked us to do walking formal practice for 3 hours a day. For those of you that have too much aches and pains or are too old to do that, you don't have to walk for 3 hours. Just walk as much as you can and then do sitting. But don't just sit and mindlessly in your dreamland. Make sure that you practice your mindfulness when you're sitting. But then if we just allow the mind to get lost in everything, we might be causing ourselves problems by being lost in thought for long periods of time. So it's a type of self-mortification in a way. So just practice with a mind that is regular, normal, natural, comfortable. And the body is sitting, the body is walking, and know that it is doing so. And then when the mind gets lost in thought, then know that that's happened as well. The mind leaves the object that we've chosen, and then we recognize that that's so. So the mind that gets lost or the mind that focuses in are like a pair. They're both really being lost, but one is being lost in an unskillful state, which is being lost in the thoughts, And then the other is lost in a more skillful or good state, which is trying to be good, focusing, holding. There was a lady that's the wife of a former monk here. She asked me, she was looking great, really bright and radiant with samadhi. And I asked her, wow, why is your mind so bright? And she said, well, I do walking 8 hours a day. She's older and doesn't have to work anymore. Her mind is a stable observer, bright, luminous, and knowing. Many of us these days, there are a lot of minds that have awakened from the teachings now. A lot of people have minds that can wake up. There are a lot of people on the Zoom that are submitting their homework. Many of them have never met me in person, but a lot of them, their mind looks good and bright. There was one person yesterday, a young person yesterday, whose mind had samadhi without any trying to keep it or maintain it. It was automatic and natural samadhi where the mind wasn't struggling with any phenomena, letting them come and go equanimously. And that person is just one step away from having a mind that transcends the world. So we need to just not be burdened with phenomena and not be burdened by other people, right? That's the not being burdened with other people is the viveka of the body, and then not being burdened by the phenomena that arise internally is not being burdened. The mind not being burdened, citta viveka. For the mind to have viveka, or that isolation, we have to have the samadhi. And when the mind is not having samadhi, seeing the truth of the things of the world, the phenomena that arise and fall, then it gets lost in the world and lost in those things, and it's not in a withdrawn or isolated space on its own. I always teach us to separate the aggregates, but the real truth is that the aggregates, or the parts, components, these are 5 components that are already separate from each other, but we misinterpret, we think and believe that these 5 things, these 5 parts are just one mass, one thing called me, right? But when the mind is the stable observer, we can see the aggregates separate. And when mindfulness sees the body, it sees that the mind and the body are 2 different things. The body is not us. It's just something that the mind knows or sees. It's just a natural phenomenon with different elements coming and going in constant flux and not under control. One day, those elements, that body will just be returned to the world. It'll be sacrificed. It'll dissolve. So the mind that misunderstands believes that these elements that belong to the world, that we own them, that they're us. That's the misunderstanding. But one who sees the truth sees that it's actually, this body is empty. It's empty of a sense of self, of being a me, a you, a person. When the mind is sufficiently a stable, knowing mind, then it'll see that this is just material things, this body. And then within the body, there are the physical sensations. And there's what the mind, as a stable observer, seeing the pain in the body, for example, one of the sensations, it'll see it's not the body, but it's something that comes and goes within the body. Right? So if we're sitting and we start getting achy, we can see that the sensations come in to interfere, but they aren't actual material things. They're their feelings that come into the body. And the same is true with feeling pleasant or unpleasant in the heart or in the mind. These are things that float in and float out like a dream. They're just mental factors or formations. All the pleasant and the unpleasant states and neutral states, the good and bad, wholesome, unwholesome mental states, all just different factors and formations of the mind. There's also perception and memory. These are all just like dreams. It's like they exist, but we can't really grab them or grasp them, can we? All these things that are mental constructions that are happening internally, they just come and go, float in, float out, and we can't quite grab them or grasp them. We can't control them. We can't force them to be how we, in any way. Whether it's happy, unhappy, interpretation and memory, or the producing different fabrications, good and bad, wholesome, unwholesome. They all come and they all go. All the different feelings are just things that float by like dreams. We can't order them. I want to dream about this in particular, right? We can't do that. Want to feel this in particular. We can't do that. So the aggregates that are the feelings and memory and all the mental formations, we see all these things as transient things. So we start, the aggregates are classified first as the body, that's the coarsest. And then the next is coarse, is the physical sensations and the pleasant and unpleasant feelings. It gets more and more refined from 1 to 5. Like the 5th is the vijnana aggregate or consciousness. That's the thing that we believe is us the most. It's the hardest thing to eliminate the sense that it is a me, that delusion. It's the hardest of the 5 to eliminate the sense of self in the consciousness, right? Because when we hear, when there's thinking and seeing and such things, there's a feeling like that's me there's a me who's hearing, a me who's seeing, a me who's thinking, for example. So all the different mental factors and formations, they're all like a dream. feelings, memory, mental formations, good and bad whole states of mind. They all come and go. The mind itself, the consciousness, is just really is not a self either. It's just a natural thing that receives the experiences, that knows objects. It's a bare knower of objects. But to see that it isn't a self or isn't you, practice, as I said, to see that the mind leaves the meditation object, so the mind comes back and focuses on the meditation object, then know that. You see that the mind or the consciousness itself, one moment it's the one lost in thought, then it's the one knowing, then it's the one focusing, then it's the one knowing, then it's the one listening, lost in listening, then it's the one knowing, then it's lost in thought, and then it's knowing, then it's lost in feeling something at the body, and then it's knowing. So one moment this consciousness is lost in a sense or lost in thought, and then the next moment it is the knowing presence. So we're not able to see the truth when we're just lost in the world, lost in the senses, and lost in thought, because there isn't any mindfulness. And so we just believe that there's a self. But when we have mindfulness, then we are able to then achieve Samma Samadhi, the most important of the eightfold path where it all comes together. Without Samma Samadhi, or the correct stability of the observer mind, right? The correct knowing mind, the Samma Samadhi. Don't even consider, no need to consider enlightenment at all. It's impossible. So with Samma Samadhi, we then see the mind that gets lost in thought also disappears. Those of us that are unenlightened with a feeling of a self or the wrong view of a self, it feels like there's somebody in here consistently. It's the same person in here as yesterday. And why do we have that sense? Because we don't have enough momentum and power to the stable observer samadhi. Right? The knower arises at the mind, and then it disappears. And then we're seeing a form, then the mind arises at the form and then passes away at the form. So there isn't one mind, there isn't one consciousness. That's wrong view to believe that there is one consciousness. Believing that the consciousness is lasting or eternal, like a soul. But the truth is, we believe that it's our consciousness, but it isn't really our consciousness. If we have enough mindfulness and enough samadhi, then we see that the mind actually arises and falls where it arises. So it arises at the eyes, it falls at the eyes. It arises at the ears, it falls at the ears. It arises at the nose, falls at the nose. At the tongue, arises and falls, right? And when it arises in the mind, it falls at the mind. There isn't just one mind or consciousness that moves from one place to the other. It feels like that often. So when we see the mind moves out to things, then know that. And when the mind focuses in, then know that. Practice that way, but that's not precisely correctly what happens. What actually happens is the mind arises, falls away wherever it arises, and a different mind arises in the next place, and then that falls away. So the mind that is thinking arises in the thinking, and then when there's mindfulness, it disappears in the thinking, and then arises as knowing, and then falls away at knowing, and then arises elsewhere after that. When we don't have strong enough or complete mindfulness, we're going to get lost. There's no way around it. Right? We just have the mindfulness that sees it and sees that the mind is not one particular mind, but a mind that arises and falls in different places. Can we understand that? Even just moving slowly like I just did, the mind arises and falls 10 times. Even just one movement like that, it arises and falls 10 times. So it's not easy to see the truth that the mind arises and falls, and then a new mind arises and falls in the next place. But we do see this eventually. We do it step by step. We practice our threefold training of the practice to have the precepts, practice, train the mind to have samadhi and mindfulness. And then wisdom starts to arise. Many of us think that the world and the senses are the things that are going to bring the happiness, and we want that happiness to last. Like we see beautiful things or a pretty girl out there and think that we're going to be happy for a long time or forever because of getting those things, but it's impossible, right? You want to order, may I be handsome forever, right? You don't get to keep it, right? There's no fulfillment from that, the things in the world that we think are going to make us happy. It's just so temporary. Worldly happiness is like medicine that's symptom relief only. The problem is we attach to these five aggregates, this body and mind, and believe they are us, and then suffer because of that. True, good practitioners are happy to have samadhi. There's happy in and of oneself without need for the world. There are states of mind called the Brahma Lokas that are sublime states, 20 different levels of sublime states called the Brahma Lokas. And even those, as sublime as they are, is still suffering. It's still suffering because the mind itself, the consciousness itself that experiences it, is suffering. And so there'll be no release, no freedom or release of attachment until the truth of suffering is seen. And once the truth of suffering is seen, then the desire for the aggregates is eliminated automatically. The enlightenment at once returner sees that the body is suffering itself, that there's no attachment or desire for the body to have any happiness, because it sees that the body is a suffering thing. It's not. So it no longer struggles with regards to the body, and then we see that it doesn't matter what objects, whatever phenomena are occurring, that every time a phenomenon occurs, and it happens all the time, all day and all night incessantly, that there's suffering. It's a burden to the mind to have phenomena coming and going. You see that the mind is something that just has to know objects and has to know phenomena all the time, and it's an unbelievable burden. Right? The body gets to rest, right? We sleep or rest. The body gets a rest, but the mind never gets a rest. Things are always changing, moving, wavering, quivering, phenomena coming and going incessantly, never a rest. Women say that childbirth is the most suffering or most painful thing. I've never experienced that, but the mind itself is what's truly suffering the most. Always working, never stop. It's like a slave. It's more than a slave. Never resting. It is suffering itself. In all the worlds and all the realms and all the universe, there's nothing suffering more than the mind itself. And when we see that the mind is suffering itself, then we're able to release attachment to it. When we see the body is suffering, then we release attachment to it too. We let go of it, and then let go of the mind when seeing that it is suffering. You see that there isn't anywhere that we can be born in, not one realm that is free of suffering, because there's always a mind, and the mind is suffering, no matter where we're born. It's just that sometimes it's the mind is in sublime states, but it's still the mind. There once was a deity eventually we'll see that this world is really bland. It doesn't matter whether it's worldly, just regular, ordinary worldly things, or whether it's sublime levels that the deities brag about or talk about. That all these things have a burden, and even deities approach the Buddha first arguing with him, and then eventually just admitting that he's right, that there is a burden and it is suffering to be in existence in any realm whatsoever. So a blessing for the New Year's for everybody. Let's do good. Let's be good people and refrain from doing bad things. The world just is never still. Everything is always changing. And it is a chaotic place, and let's be with this world in a way with much less suffering or completely free from suffering, because the world itself is never a peaceful thing. So let's keep training and practicing until our mind gets cleaner and cleaner inside. I can't do it for you. We can't do it for you, so practice for yourself and be happy